Hello everybody, welcome to the Daily Sip. My name is Oliver. My mission is to bring you closer to organic Japanese green tea, and today we are in part 4 of our mega green tea sampler tour, and today I'll try to get a little bit of a more potent tea. Today I want to try a Gyokuro. So let's see if we can get one. Okay, so I got one. So this is the Gyokuro, Cha Musume, Gyokuro, how you say it right in Japanese or from Japan. So this is actually a long shaded green tea. This is a green tea which I personally like a lot, and it is made from the most famous cultivar in Japan called the Yabukita. So this is actually a single cultivar tea, something you don't see that often in Japan. It's something which is nowadays coming a little bit more into vogue, where people or where the farmers start also to produce more tea of a single cultivar. The reason why in Japan this wasn't really known or wasn't really a common thing to do is actually that the taste consistency was the most important, and taste consistency you get it the best way when you blend different teas. So you always can, from year to year, if the taste varies a little bit, then you can get very consistent by just adapting certain cultivars or certain green tea varietals which are in your blend, that you can just match out or bring out the same taste as we know it. For example, for tea bags they do this too. But this one here is a single cultivar tea. This one here is a Yabukita. It is said that around 80% of all the green tea in Japan is made with Yabukita. When you go to Shizuoka, which is the biggest tea region in Japan, there even 95%. So it is quite popular, and the reason why this cultivar was became so popular after the 1950s was that it is actually resistant to frost, or quite resistant to frost. So frost was always a problem for the farmers in Japan, especially from the northern part. So when we talk about the northern part, we talk about Shizuoka, which is around 2 hours from Tokyo, and when you go more south until the island of Kyushu, there the temperature is warmer, so less frost, or the problem of frost is less dominant. But when you're in Shizuoka especially, there Yabukita solved this big issue of the farmers, and it's actually a crossbreed as well, so it was also developed over time. And what Japanese people like about the Yabukita is that it has taste-wise quite a broad variety. So you get a little bit of everything in, so an all-in-one, you might say. So this tea is therefore, or has become very popular, solving a problem of the farmers and also pleasing the taste or the taste demands of the Japanese tea consumer. So then let's go into this and have a look at the leaves. As I said before, the Gyokuro is a shaded tea, long shaded tea. And you can see by shaded teas, you can especially see when you have a look at the leaves, and you see these are very, very, very dark. Yabukita is a little bit of a bigger leaf, so you have a little bit of bigger parts of the leaf. So you can see this one for Japanese green tea is quite big. You can find other cultivars, like for example the Saimidori, where the Jame Jin Gyokuro is made of. This one is much smaller, much finer. So we were once on the field where I just hold the different size of leaves one to the other, and there you really see the difference that between the different cultivars, so the different varietals of green tea, the leaf size can really change. One of the biggest leaves I know in Japanese green tea is the Benifuki, but this is quite bitter tea. Often it is also known as quite a healthy tea, but not very pleasant to drink. It's more a little bit of a cure tea. And Yabukita is quite bigger, is a little bit of a bigger leaf. And for example, the Saimidori, which is a very sweet and very soft and tea, this tea varietal has smaller leaves. Good. So Concerning the shading, this tea as well, 21 days shaded. And what is important when we talk about shading, so shading is actually a serial process of different shading intensities. So first off, in the first 7 to 10 days, Mr. Sakamoto starts off just with one cover. So you might have seen this nylon cover in maybe one of our videos, or when you have watched a video about Japanese green tea, often this kabuse, so-called kabuse, so this nowadays nylon cover is quite famous, and he does in the first stage only the nylon cover of one layer, and then the last 7 days he adds on then 2 layers more to really cut out fully the sunlight. And this is actually a little bit of a stressing moment for the tea plant, and then the tea plant stops to absorb a lot of nutrients. It starts to produce a lot of caffeine and also a lot of chlorophyll, because the plant wants to absorb as much daylight as possible. But by covering, this is cut off, so it always tries to just enrich its leaves with more chlorophyll, just to absorb if there's any or a little bit of sunlight touching the leaves. So that's why this tea is also very, very rich in minerals, and it is also known as the Emperor's tea, so a tea which has been drunk by the Emperor. Enough said for that. Then we go now into the brewing of this tea. So I take 5 grams, and I have black clay cues in this time. It has actually a metal filter, how you can see. So you can also find clay filter cues for this tea, and actually often these are promoted. And when you go for Gyokuro, what you can try is to just use a smaller amount of water. The reason is that the intensity or the complexity gets stronger when you lose a small amount of water, meaning you have a very broad array, but it is also in intensity, especially if you're starting out with Japanese green tea, it can be a little bit too intense. So I'm in the person, or I used to be a person who drank Gyokuro, especially with a little bit more water, to just dilute it a little bit more, that it's not so strong, but it still has a very nice, round and beautiful taste. But now, over the time, I started to kind of reduce the amount of water, just to get a little bit more of an intense taste and a broader taste array of the tea. So this is something I absolutely liked about the journey which I was also on with the Gyokuro, because then you start to kind of appreciate the different taste notes of this tea, and you appreciate also the complexity of the tea taste. And over time, by reducing the water, you can really explore how this tea is, and kind of which degree of water you might say so you like to drink this tea. We were even in a tea house when we were in Tokyo. There we even just received the leaves which were on a plate, so on a white plate, and then there also were only added some drops to 30 milliliters of water on the leaf, just on the leaves a little bit, and then you just drink this kind of intense, nearly liquor kind of green tea, and it's very strong in taste, and it is actually just a super different taste experience. And when I had it the first time, it was too strong. A second time was already better, but it can become a very, very strong tea. So I left it in now for around 2 minutes. Just try to get out all the drops, because the last drops are exactly the drops which are the most intense and giving the full flavor profile to the tea. So you can see now the leaves are a little bit unfolded, but they have still a way to go. So this is now the first brewing. Beautiful, beautiful green. So you see that by opening up the tea leaves, they get a little bit brighter, so they get a little more brighter green than the original leaves. And what is also nice when you look at the liquor, so you see it's a little bit cloudy, and this is really a sign that this tea is very, very rich in nutrients. It gets a little bit kind of this nearly milky tone, and this is a sign that there are a lot of proteins in this tea, proteins in green tea. Amino acids, and the most present amino acid is the L-theanine, which is also good for your brain as it breaks through the blood-brain barrier, but it gives also the Gyokuro its distinctive taste, and the taste of kind of this umami. It's kind of a sweet and savory taste at the same time, so playing a very, very kind of giving the Japanese green tea this very typical taste note. Sometimes, for example, when you're eating a tomato, there's also said that it is rich in umami, and this is a little bit kind of this savory, a little bit sweet kind of taste you might get when you're reminding yourself of eating a tomato. Next time when you eat one, just try to look for this a little bit, and this is the umami taste, and you have this as well also in the green tea, and it is part or a big part of the Japanese kitchen. So let's have a sip of this one here. So I used 6 degrees Celsius water, so this is 140 Fahrenheit. It gives the water not a too hot kind of consistency or kind of being, and then it just brings out the biggest part of the sweetness of the tea. So I have a very creamy green tea here. It's savory, it's sweet. I get a little bit of, always get a little bit kind of artichoke flavor. I get a little bit nearly of an avocado. There's a little bit this creaminess which you know from an avocado. So it's also very rich in essential oils. And taste-wise, I get a little bit of an edamame flavor profile. There's a little bit this artichoke. Even I get a little bit of banana peel, and also in the end it drifts off a little bit into a nuttiness, so kind of an almondy hazelnut flavor profile. So very intense, very complex, very broad. And what is nice with the Yabukita is you get a little bit of this, in the end you can feel a little bit this greenish power, so you get a little bit of spinachy tones as well, just in the end. And there's a slight, in my opinion, always a little astringency with it. And the Japanese people really like this small astringency with the tea, or the astringency with the tea in general, because this is kind of a sign for them that the tea or the tea is also healthy, because to the catechins, so which are the astringent particles in the green tea, they give this taste sensation, and this is then a sign for them that the tea is actually healthy. And Yabukita gives a little bit of everything, so it's this all-in-one taste profile, you might say so. And here with the Yabukita, in comparison to other Gyokuros, for example, which are made from sweeter cultivars, you don't really have this in the end, that you have this kind of a little bit astringent, just a slight astringent grain, which could be kind of part, or which you might say is part of the taste profile of this tea. So very amazing first brewing. Let's go to the second one. So it cooled down now to 56, so I would say 130 to 100, yeah, I would say around 130 Fahrenheit. Gonna try it with that. Very, very short brewing this time. 20 seconds is enough, or you can even go shorter. And the leaves are now open. They just open up a little bit more to what they give directly the taste to the tea. And voila. And we see already now that the tea gets a little bit greener. So there's a little bit more of chlorophyll released. I expect this tea to be a little bit more vegetal now, a little bit more spinachy tones, but still quite cloudy. So let's see how the taste is. So there's less of this artichoke, less of the edamame flavor. I get a little bit more sweetness as well, so I get a little bit more of banana peel in. kind of a good sweetness. There's not so much nuttiness, so it's a little bit shifting more into a sweet banana flavor, and also this tingling in the end. So a little bit this astringent tingling is also present. So these are the two main taste profiles I get. And you have a little bit more of a, but it's still kind of a hue, kind of a small note of greenness with the tea. So the color changed, but the taste in terms of green taste or green flavor hasn't moved that strong. But it's very, very sweet. I definitely get this banana peel, a little bit banana flavor. Yeah, no, it's not banana flavor. It's really banana peel when you kind of, sometimes when you open the banana and you just have the inside, you have this kind of small pieces which get off and then you eat them. It's a little bit that taste, so very fine. And not too sweet, and still you have this nice lingering of the small astringency, which is just given by this tea. Now we'll use a little bit less water. So you can do 3 to even 4 brewings with this tea. So you will see over time that the taste a little bit diminishes, but you still can use it to just get all the goodness out of the tea, just to hydrate yourself over the day. Just fill it up always. And during the whole day you can use the tea. Actually it doesn't change, so you can leave it there. Not during the night, because what I heard in a tea place, they said no, overnight is not good because the bad spirits could enter the tea, so I never do it overnight. So much less. Colors say similar to the second brewing. So the banana, kind of this sweetness goes a little bit away. It nearly shifts a little bit now in a floral note. It gets fresher. And the tingling, kind of this tingling is, so in all 3 brewings I get a little bit this tingling. And then in the first I get much more of this edamame, artichoke, a little bit intensity. Also the density of the water seems to be stronger. Then this goes away in the second or third, the density being replaced by more sweeter tones, and now it's nearly moving up in a lighter. So the tea starts to lose a little bit of flavor, and what actually changes in the taste is that it gets a little bit more floral, a little bit fresher, but always have this beautiful tingling with it. So definitely a tea which is super interesting when you brew it several times, because each time you get a different taste profile, different flavor profile. So this has been the Gyokuro Cha Musume, so a Yabukita Gyokuro, and definitely a very interesting and a good start maybe into your Gyokuro's journey, taking the most famous cultivar and making it to a Gyokuro. Thanks a lot for watching, and as always, if you have a question, please feel free to leave a comment. I talk to you soon, because we have only done now 4 of 26 teas. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.